この大会は IAAF 国際陸上競技連盟よりゴールドラベルの認定を受け、さらにレベルアップに向けて邁進中です。本日7月5日の天気予報は晴れ、最高予想気温は22度、ただいまの気温は10度です。本大会の
Welcome to the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. Welcome to 42.195k to glory. Are you ready to run? Are you ready to struggle? Are you ready to achieve? Because remember, the harder the struggle, the greater the reward. We'll see you at the finish line.
Absolutely sensational time, the fastest marathon ever run here on Australian soil.
Runners have flocked to paradise from all points of the globe to run in paradise and savour all the good times that the Gold Coast has to offer. Here we are at the 2015 Gold Coast Airport Marathon webcast, and it will be our biggest and best ever webcast. It is a fantastic event today and a fantastic lineup. Speaking of the best and fantastic, joined by my co-commentators Lee Troop, welcome to the commentary box, and Benita Willis, three-time Olympian and four-time Olympian. Guys, great to have you here. We say biggest and best every time, but it is this time.
It is. It's amazing that they've been able to pull the field together like they have, and I think we're going to be in for potentially 2 new course records.
It would be fantastic to see. I know you'd love to see a women's course record, Benita. We always get excited about the men's. Last year was the men's year, but it's a very good women's field. You'd be excited.
Oh, I mean, very excited. It's a very good women's field, and it's very good conditions as well for the marathon today. So, yeah, excited to see some good races and the half marathons as well.
So you mentioned conditions, 13 degrees out there, perhaps a little bit warm or humid, but I don't think there's much breeze. That will be favourable for the athletes on a course that is sometimes exposed in many parts.
Yeah, certainly, and especially on the way back when people are really hurting. If there's no breeze, I think that will really help with the course records.
Lee, in terms of the athletes this year and the field, we've got some of the real big names of world athletics. We've got the Ryan Hall out here with his wife Sarah Hall. They're going to be, Sarah of course running the half marathon and the women's. Ryan here just to have a bit of a jog.
Yep.
Jeff Eckersley is back. He was ranked number 2 in the US based on last year's Gold Coast Airport Marathon. You're close to the US scene. There is a buzz growing in the US about the Gold Coast, is there not?
There certainly is. I mean, Jeff. It's ironic that Jeff came out here last year thinking he was a pacemaker, and I saw him in the dining hall, and I'd brought one of my athletes over to be the pacemaker, and I just said, "Oh, what's the plan?" And he said, "Oh, I think they want me to go at around about 64 minutes through the half." And I said, "No, you're actually racing." And so I don't know whether him actually not thinking that he was doing the marathon just allowed him to be a little bit more relaxed. I'm pretty sure the night before he wasn't, because he's all of a sudden gone from pacemaking for 30 kilometres to running the whole 42. But he ran fantastically well. I mean, the race got blown wide open just after halfway. He got dropped, but just through that process of elimination of everyone being so aggressive at the front end, they all started to capitulate, and he was able to run through and take second. So that set him up for, you know, a great season last year, and he's certainly coming into this race wanting to really catapult off what he did last year. And with the Olympic trials coming up in February, there's a lot of depth, and I'm really sure that he wants to cement himself today with a great chance of making that US Olympic team.
And of course, we've got last year's winner back again, Sila Limo from Kenya, who won the Gold Coast Airport Marathon last year, set a course record, set an Australian all-comers record in his debut marathon. And of course, Yuki Kawuchi is back again, our 2013 champion. Guys, we've got the half marathon coming up very shortly, so we might fairly quickly move to have a look at that. And Benita, I'm going to let you talk about the women's half marathon field shortly. But just touching upon the men's field, Lee, again, this is a pretty hot field in the men's half marathon with the fastest time, or a couple of fastest times out there, with the Japanese run Takahiro Deki. He's got a PB of 64.16, but I'm told reliably that's not a true reflection of what he should run. So he might be in the 63 realm. And of course, 3 or 4 guys, including the Aussies, Liam Adams, Ben Moreau from the UK, and Callum Moody from New Zealand. They've all run in the 63 space. Good field there.
Certainly is, and I think, you know, a name to be looking out for is Duayoa. He's been in fantastic shape. He's a Ballarat boy. He's trained by Rod Griffin, and he's really been able to, you know, get himself up to a point where he's been able to dominate a few races. Liam Adams, you know, he's getting ready for Berlin, so I'm sure that he'll want to have a really, really great race to help get him set up for his season ahead. And, you know, these guys are all trying to make next year's Olympic Games team for Rio, so this is where you get to see the cream of the crop really come to, you know, get out there and put in some great performances. So I think we'll see, you know, probably today around about 63, 64. Deki's PR does come from 2011, which is, you know, 4 and a bit years ago. But I think it'll be the Aussies that'll be pushing the pace.
So apparently he's run a 20K in a fairly slick time, which puts him on a 63 sort of PB. So he's one to look out for. And Benita, I noticed one of your runners, Al Stevenson, in the mix running the half this year after running the marathon last year. Is Al in okay shape?
Yeah, he's in pretty good shape. He won the Bridge to Brisbane a couple of weeks ago over 14K, so he's in good shape, and training for New York Marathon though, so we'll see how he goes over the half today.
So look, it is a fantastic field in the men's half marathon. We're seeing live pictures out there. The men's half marathon due to start in about 6 minutes' time. And we're going to be crossing very shortly to our live field reporters Mossy and Robbo, who did a fantastic job for the first time last year in terms of capturing all the atmosphere, giving us some great live interviews out there. There's something special about the pre-dawn feel of a half marathon and the marathon, so we'll cross out to Mossy and Robbo out on the scene.
Reporting for duty. Yeah, well, here we are at the start line of the ASICS Half Marathon. The sun has yet to grace us with our presence. Robbo, this one is set up for an absolutely sensational event.
Yeah, mate, and conditions, I've got to say, are just about perfect down here. It's nice and cool. You say it is still pretty dark. I think some of these athletes are probably still waking up. The elites and everyone in the back of the pack as well. Look, there's 10,000 runners in this event, Mossy, so it's massive. People will be out there looking to try and get a PB today, looking to get, you know, a great time. Some of them will be their first time they've ever run this distance before.
Well, let's have a look at the elite fields. This is absolutely stacked, including the women's.
Yeah, and look, we welcome both defending champs from last year. Millie Clark comes back. It was probably the race of her career last year, taking out the win in the ASICS Half Marathon. But in the women's, it's a mouth-watering battle, Mossy. We've got Eloise Wellings, Jess Stringo from Australia, and Sarah Hall from America, one of the finest distance runners from America, coming down under to see if she can mix it with Eloise and Jess. Look, a classy field, Mossy, and it's going to be a really tough battle in the women's race.
Well, let's actually put ourselves, you know, on the wire here, mate. Who do you think's going to take it out? Are we going to see this one going back to the States with Sarah Hall, or will it remain here in Australia as it did last year at the ASICS Half Marathon?
Well, Eloise Wellings, she's only run 2 half marathons in her life. They were both this year, and you know where she finished, Mossy? She finished first in both of them. So can she make it 3 from 3? Let's not discount some of the Japanese competitors here today as well. It might end up going to someone else outside of those that we mentioned. The men's, Mossy, well, we've got some guys here who have set their PBs on this course. They know how to run it fast. Liam Adams comes back. He's in some great form. He's stepped up to the marathon recently, but the half, he'll have no troubles with that today, and he'll be very, very hard to beat. In that, Ben Moreau represents Great Britain, but he's here and living in Australia these days, and I think we'll claim him. He set his PB on this course as well. And Brad Milosevic, who can forget last year, crossed the finish line, ripped the singlet off. If he gets the win today, who knows what he'll be ripping off.
Well, that is as far as the elites, but I'll tell you what, this is the biggest event here at the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. We have about 10,000 competitors today. They'll be loving it.
Yes, they will, Mossy. And look, as I said, there'll be people doing it for the first time. They'll be very nervous in behind us, not sure what to expect. Look, they just need to take it easy early on. I guess it's a moving mass of humanity moving down the roads here at the Gold Coast. So it's going to be a cracker. Good luck to everyone involved, and Mossy, I can't wait.
Well, here it is at the coldness of the finish line here at the ASICS Half Marathon. We might send it up into the nice and warm and cosy commentary position with Eckers and Troopy.
Thanks very much, Mossy and Robbo. It is very cosy here and warm under the studio lights. Fantastic atmosphere out there. We have a record field of the marathon of over 6,000 competitors. That is the largest marathon ever in Australian history. Something like 27,500 competitors across the weekend's events. Benita and Lee, there is a special feel about this pre-dawn feel. The nerves, the excitement, I guess a bit of adrenaline for athletes out there, whether you're running the half of the marathon. What would you do? How do you try and settle things down in the final minutes before a race?
Well, I find I get quite nervous in pre-dawn races when you're warming up and it's in the dark, but I'm just really excited to get going and just really excited for the gun to go off and then just do my thing. But before the gun goes off in these kind of races, I'm pretty nervous.
Trippy, I know you were saying yesterday that you would just put faith in your training and preparation. You would feel pretty calm and relaxed as you towed the start line.
Certainly. I mean, this is a pre-dawn race, so these athletes are going to be out of routine here. Normally races would start at 9 o'clock in the morning, but due to the heat, that can certainly rise really quickly in here. They need to start the race early. So these guys are going to be out of routine. A lot of them will be nervous. They won't be as comfortable as they'd normally be if they were doing a normal race at a normal start time. So the thing is to really look at what you've done in your training. That's what you put in all those weeks for, and have confidence, because at the end of the day, the race is just a glorified training session with 9,999 other people.
Just to ask you, Benita, I know the guys touched on the women's field, but this is a fantastic field of world-class elite women athletes in the half marathon that we're going to see first.
And we've got like a lot of rivalries as well, and Sarah and Jess just raced at the San Diego Half Marathon, running 71. Eloise has run 70. Can they go under 70? Who knows? Eloise has never been beaten, so if it's fast, she might be able to run faster and take it home for Australia. But who knows? Sarah Hall might come over the top of them, and yeah, or Jess Trengrove. They're in really good shape. It's going to be a great race.
How would you expect that race to unfold? I mean, the girls will go out hard. Would you expect a few of those leads to stay together, or was somebody going to have a crack?
No, I think they're going to stay together for a fair while, and I think the winner's going to come in the last 5K, and whoever's stronger at the end, whoever mentally believes they can win, I think that's when you're going to see a move made. And the half marathon, it's a long way, so they're going to stay together for a fair while, and then, yeah, the strongest one's going to come through, but I think there's going to be a clear winner. And
Sarah did actually race the US 10K Championships last weekend, and then the week before she raced a 5K in Portland. She only arrived in Australia, 3 days ago. So it's going to depend on how well she's recovered from those races, how well she's recovered from the jet lag of actually coming in here, adjusting to the time zone. So this will be an interesting race.
We are looking to the start of the men's and women's half marathon here at the Gold Coast. Very close. We have something like 10,142 runners in the ASICS Half Marathon. These guys will be going out very quick. There is no settling into an easy rhythm, particularly the elite runners. And of course, with the half marathon, it is a tangible race, isn't it, Lee and Benita, for many people. They might have done a 10K, but they're looking for an extra challenge. This gives them a tangible challenge if they don't think they're quite up to a marathon.
Yeah, it's a good stepping stone to the marathon, I think.
And that's been the beauty, of course, with the Gold Coast, I guess, that many people might have set themselves for a 10K, done that once or twice. They can step up to the half marathon, but I think for everyone, running the marathon is the ultimate. That's the biggest challenge for everybody. So here we are, just moments from the start of the ASICS Half Marathon, towing the line, runners crouching.
Which is almost a couple of false starts there.
There was, and they're off. They're off in the ASICS Half Marathon. 6,127 runners.
Well done, guys.
Now, we won't be seeing a lot of the ASICS Half Marathon. We'll certainly be able to bring you splits along the way. And of course, by all means, join the webcast, jump online. You can track your friends. I think there's an ASICS app where you're able to track friends with the ASICS app. And here we are. They're pouring through the start line. For people who might not be aware, if you're at the back of a start line with an event like this, there's no problem at all with timing chips. That activates as soon as you go across the start line.
Well, there's gun time and chip time, and so basically what happens is at the very front group, and for the elite guys, they go off gun time. For these back of the packers and people that are going to be 1, 2, 3 minutes behind the actual start, they'll actually record a chip time. So that's the great thing about technology these days, is everything is done to the complete millisecond.
Yes. Of course, in years gone by, probably when you and I started racing, mate, Benita, you're a little bit younger. You know, you would try and inch as close to the start line as you could because you didn't want to lose those precious seconds.
And we all went off by the sun.
Yep.
You know, we had to look up, we had a compass, and that was it. The gun went, and basically you roughly, estimated what your time was.
Etching the results in stone with a,
back in Clarkey and, Derek Clayton's day. I mean, we had, like I said, we've come such a long, long way. I mean, especially when I look at, events, 25, 30 years ago to where we are today, runners are certainly given every opportunity to maximise, their performance through technology, whether it's using Garmin's, heart rates, the chip timing systems that are in there. I mean, we're going to get information fed back to us in the studio to every 5K split, halfway split. So even though there's no cameras out on the course, we can really be involved in it by getting all that data that's going to be sent to us.
And of course it is so high tech these days. Coaches like yourself, Benita, they're even able to have athletes in other countries, other side of the world, and almost feed back training data live or download it very soon after an event. Do you use that much with any of your athletes?
Yeah, we use the Garmin data from the watches there, and they download onto a program that I use for coaching, and it certainly does help you track their progress, as well as in races you can check websites for the downloading of every 5K, 10K split, and so it just makes it easier to track your runners and see how they're going without having to scroll through results on websites and things like that. But I mean, yeah, it's come a long way. I know even when I started running, I didn't even really wear watches that much, and then it's kind of evolved into everyone wearing Garmin's these days, and one of our great sponsors as well of the event. So it's a fantastic
good plug.
thing to use.
Good plug. Hey.
And there's no cheating by your athletes in terms of times and splits a training session. I mean, the watch doesn't lie, the technology doesn't lie.
Well, I think the Garmin's do, because Mona and I were talking about this yesterday. And
your times are slower than what they should be?
It's not necessarily the times. There were lots of loops and runs that we did, and we were always adamant that we were running 200 kilometres a week every week, 8,500 kilometres every year. And Mona's got the Garmin. He's gone out and measured quite a few of our loops, and we've realised that some of them are about 1 or 2 kilometres short. I don't want to pull out 20 years of my training diaries and have to readjust what they were exactly now. So I think, it's a reality for us that maybe we were cheating. We weren't as good as what we actually claimed to be. So
you don't have to go rewrite history, but that'll be our little secret just between the three of us, guys.
Yeah,
well,
never ever
change all the course records for all their
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Never let the truth stand in the way of a good story as well. So
do you get amazed by the mass participation numbers? I mean, of course, there is a broader diversity of events these days to challenge major events like Gold Coast Airport Half Marathon and Marathon. But Benita, it just is amazing to see the numbers of people out there.
Oh, I mean, it's fantastic. And even at the kids' race yesterday, we had 1,200 in the 2K race, which was the first one. And to see that at the grassroots just growing so much, largest race in the Southern Hemisphere for the kids, to come into the adult ranks. And I mean, the participation rates are just skyrocketing out of the roof. And even women's running is increasing a lot here in Australia. And I think it's following trends in the US and the UK. And I mean, if we can just keep it going steadily up every year, it's improving the health of the nation, saving people a lot of money. It's fantastic.
You mentioned women's numbers, and you'll be pleased to know the official statistic on participation numbers here at the over the weekend at Gold Coast Airport Marathon: 53% women, 47% men. That would be unheard of maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What do you read into that? I mean, are women more health conscious? Are they trying to do more in the health and fitness space?
I think so, and I think running's a really time-efficient exercise, and a lot of women, you know, they've got families, they've got jobs, and they want to do their running, get out the door. A lot of them do it very early in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, especially here in Queensland when it's so hot. And then they go on these races because they go with their friends. They like to travel away to Melbourne or Sydney or even overseas somewhere, or the Gold Coast if they're, you know, if they're locals or interstate, and certainly, you know, that helps them to enjoy it, is training together with their friends.
And it's a global trend. I mean, 57% globally are women that compete in races, and if you have a look at a lot of the marketing that's done by, you know, the major companies, it is all targeted to women. And if you look at the events, you know, the Mother's Day Classic, the Susan G. Komen event, you know, it really is trying to pull that particular market. And for men, obviously, you know, they get out there. I don't know whether they're just too competitive, but women do it for probably a few extra other reasons than their male counterparts. So it's great to be able to see, because 10 years ago, obviously those numbers were completely different. So to have that completely change and move in the direction that we're moving in, I think it's great.
I love the story yesterday from the Garmin's Legends Lunch. You're talking about squeezing in training. One of our overseas competitors, I think it was from Malaysia or Singapore, revealed how he was training one day. There was an electrical storm outside. He had to run 8 kilometres around an indoor car park just to get the training. Now that is dedication, and that is time efficiency and innovation for me. I was very impressed with that.
Yeah, well, we've had to do that in Boulder, Colorado. Like, Benita's been there, and I still currently live there, and we can get some days in the winter that are like -10, and it's been known for one of my coaches in his training group to actually do their training in a car park. So you make the best of what you've got.
Yeah, I've done a few sessions in a car park before in Boulder too. So
you've impressed me as well, both of you. It's fairly commonplace. What about? I mean, do you have to resort to treadmills in winter in Northern Hemisphere?
Yeah, I've been anti-treadmill up until around about 2010, and I realised that, you know, my old school way of thinking was actually negating me, because there, like, so much snow comes in, and the treadmill allows you to keep your rhythm, help keep that synchronicity of what you get from running. Whereas if you run out in the snow, you know, you're running slower, your leg turnover becomes slower. The crispness, the coldness actually affects your lungs. So, you know, you've got all these little debilitating factors that come from the weather. So my line of thinking has certainly changed a heck of a lot over the last 4 years with treadmill running.
So in contrast to that, we've got a fantastic and ideal 13 degrees out on the course out there. That does point, however, to the fact that it will probably warm up. I think we've got a maximum forecast of around 23, 24 degrees. Is that any sort of issue for the athletes, Benita, the elite guys? It may be a problem for a lot of the 3 or 4 hour plus runners out on the course.
Oh yeah, certainly. The elites, even if you're running 3 hours, I don't think it's an issue, but if you're running over 3 hours, you're going to be finishing when it's quite warm. And once the sun comes up and you've got that direct sunlight, that's when it just gets a bit warm in the last 10k for people. But they've just got to start drinking from 5k, 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 but not affecting the elites, no.
Now the beauty, of course, with these events, I say to people time and again, that I've become a broken record, anybody can run a half marathon, and anybody can run a marathon as well. You've just got to want to. People might look at an event like this and be intimidated, but it is possible. So I'm training for my first marathon in 12 years on 4 sessions a week, you know, making sure I'm getting the long run. Everything is centering around that. But on 4 running sessions, albeit about 80 to 85 kilometres a week, it is possible to run a marathon, to finish one, maybe not at an elite level like that.
Yeah, it's possible, and you just got to take it step by step, and you've got to have a program and a plan in mind, and just be really logical with how you do it. And I was talking to a 65-year-old lady yesterday at the Legends Lunch who's running her first marathon today, and she's been following a plan since February for it, and she'll be running fine. She'll be able to do really well, and a lot of people I coach for their first marathon, they love it, but it's just about the planning, the progression, and being really consistent. But it's not about training like an elite athlete. It's an intimidating event, but anyone can do it. Yep, you're right.
And that's the problem. I don't think we should be looking at what the elites do, because that's 0.0001%. The other 99.999% are the everyday athletes. And look, we've been going 9 minutes since the start of the half marathon, and they're still coming through that chute, and you see them of all different sizes, ages, abilities, and that's the great thing about running. It doesn't discriminate, and it's a very personal and individual thing. So people are out there running for all different types of reasons. I think you can get away with 3 to 4, 5 days of training. A lot of it's got to be catered to your ability, your lifestyle, you know, what you can fit in. I mean, people have full-time jobs, families, and they can just fit in whatever they can. So this is what I love about this particular weekend, that we see the majority of people just being everyday people like you, Ian, getting out there and wanting to achieve some personal greatness.
So a few shout outs to people I know running the half marathon. A couple of mates of mine, Chris Dixon, Mark Stokes, Gary West running the half marathon, and my nephew's actually running his first half marathon today, making his debut, Nathan Blakely. So have a good run out there, guys. It will be interesting to see how they all go.
You're just making friends, aren't you? Just dropping them all over there.
I did promise them a shout out. Okay, I said I have the power on the webcast.
Here's all you guys for him.
Any shout outs you guys want to give? or friends of yours that you really want to keep an eye on?
Yeah, one of my cousins, his wife's running Ebony Chevrolet for her first half marathon, and I've got a lot of people in the marathon, but yeah, good luck, Ebony. Hope you go really well, and Al Stevenson and some of his mates as well.
So, Trippy, what advice do you give to people? I mean, you've got your elite squad that you're based in Boulder, Colorado, and I guess that takes up most of your time. But a day like yesterday, the Garmin's Legend Lunch, or when you come to the Gold Coast, people hit you up. What's the best advice you give to them, either how to start training for a half marathon or just to get fitter?
Well, usually there's got to be a goal. There's got to be an end reason as to why we do what we do. And there are people that'll run for charity. There will be people that run for health reasons, whether to lose weight or they may have had an illness that they're trying to overcome. You know, people may have run years ago and they want to get back to being able to run a personal best. For some people, it's just to complete the marathon. I mean, there's such emotion and joy, and it's so challenging. I mean, the marathon's not easy, because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Like, we're talking 6,000 people that are going to be running the Gold Coast Marathon. There are 23 million people that live in this country. So that is an extremely small number when you put it into that scope. So for everyone that's trying to do it, I start with, why are you trying to run? What is the end result you're trying to do? And then really start to scale it back. And, you know, trying to get people to go from on the couch to taking their first step is extremely difficult, and Ron Clark always said that. He was always, the hardest step to take is the first one out the door. So once you've got that first step, hopefully you can take 2 and 3, and you start to build up some momentum. And the more momentum you can start to build up, the easier it becomes. So the challenge is getting them started, and then once they've got started, realising that it's going to be tough, there'll be ebbs and flows, but what is that end result that you're focused on? And every time it gets tough, remember why you started the journey to begin with.
And I love that saying about the marathon, that running a marathon changes you. It changes you as a person and your outlook on life. Speaking of people who are being changed by the marathon, we have a group of people with Brave Hearts 777. We'll be crossing out to Mossy and Robbo soon. Cop this, guys, they've run 7 marathons in 7 days across the country. They started in Perth. I think they've gone Melbourne, Adelaide, Hobart, northern New South Wales. They might have run one at Kingscliff, and they're running their 7th and last marathon in 7 days today. A group of about 12, including Linda and Dave McNabb from remote far north Queensland, and the mayor up there, Belinda. So they're raising money for charity, and it's just extraordinary to think 7 marathons in 7 days.
Good luck to them. You know, I mean, I struggled to do the 10K yesterday, but look, it's amazing. We just said they all run for different reasons, and there's a charitable component on what they're doing. They're actually going beyond themselves for an individual and selfish purpose to actually make the world a better place. So for that, I really commend them. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'd be using a lot of the nutrition out there, a lot of the Enduro products. I think they're going to be, hurting a bit in their 7th
So
one.
we'll be crossing them out there. Guy Andrews, the former Ironman, has actually been coaching and mentoring them. So I think we'll be crossing out to Mossy, Robbo and Guy Andrews in a minute. Those guys are out on the course, and Guy is going to give us a few insights in how you get a bunch of everyday people to do 7 marathons in 7 days. Out to you, guys.
Yes, g'day, thanks, Ecker. I'm here with 3-time Australian Surf Life State champion, Guy Andrews. Mate, I'll tell you what, you're a local here at the Gold Coast. What makes this place so special?
Oh, it's a beautiful place. Look at the sunrise. We're in the middle of winter, and thousands of people here for the marathon. Why wouldn't you live here?
Does it surprise you that this is the most popular marathon in Australia?
Not at all. I've just been around Australia this week, and this is the greatest place to be, right here.
Now, as Eckers mentioned there, you guys have been pretty busy this week. You've been cruising all around Australia running marathons. Tell us a little bit more about the Braveheart 777 event.
Well, it's a great event. We've been raising money for Bravehearts, a very important cause, and we've got 10 runners running 7 marathons in 7 states in 7 days, and this is the last one for them today. So if you see them out there, give them a pat on the back.
Excellent. You weren't tempted to join in, mate? You're happy just to cheer them on?
Well, it's been a bit of a big job getting those people around all the states, and I'll tell you what, I'm feeling a little guilty right now, not actually having done the marathons with them.
Well, tell us a bit about Brave Hearts Inc. It's a very fantastic cause. Many people today are running for a specific cause. You said you've got a few that are going to finish up here today. But yeah, give us a bit of an insight into the organisation.
Well, Brave Hearts has been around for a number of years, but they're trying to grow and spread the word. It's basically trying to spread awareness and safety for our kids so they can enjoy being outdoors and not have to worry about sexual predators. It's a difficult subject, but a very important one. And these guys have raised over 150 grand doing this event this week, and they've done a fantastic job.
And mate, you've given up the ski these days, you've given up running on that soft sand. Are you doing much to keep yourself fit? I know you love a whole bunch of stuff. You've got your bike here as well.
Yeah, just doing a lot of triathlons, off-road tris, and you know, paddling and multi-sport events. There's always something on. It's never-ending, and I love keeping fit. And
you're a Gold Coast resident. You haven't got around to doing the Gold Coast Airport Marathon yet, I believe.
I've been involved. I ran last year with Damien Williams, who'd done the sevens before,
yep.
And I was his guide runner in the marathon, but I actually haven't entered the marathon myself. So yeah, I'll be out very soon.
It's on the list. It's on the list. We're going to get him there.
Well, there's plenty of people around the world watching the Gold Coast Airport Marathon today. We've got over 100, maybe 200 or 300 people around us. What type of advice can you give them?
Well, don't go out too hard. I heard Deke was pushing them into getting the adrenaline pumping earlier this morning, but you know, pace yourself. The last 10K is going to be interesting. I know that mind over matter is a really big thing. I've seen the guys this week running the very start of the week in Perth. Very worried that they were even going to make it through the day, let alone the week. And now they're so confident coming into this, they know 100% they'll finish because they've just done 6. So if they can do it, everyone out there else can do it.
And what has been the level of the runners? These guys, like, have they trained for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years to get to this level? Like, I know a lot of people here are thinking, well, I'm doing 1 marathon today, let alone 7 back to back to back. How have they managed with it, and what sort of preparation went into it?
We've got a couple of runners there. 3 guys have been running about 3:30 every day, and they've been doing around 180K a week in preparation, so they're pretty serious amateur runners. And then we've got the other end of the spectrum where there's a few guys that have just jumped in the last minute. And, you know, they're struggling. They've got blisters, losing toenails, and they're hurting a lot.
Bit of chafe. All the usual problems.
Yes.
All right, mate. Well, it's great to have you here. Look, the tension's building. I can see it, as you said, the beautiful sunrise coming up here over at Broadwater Parklands. Guys, I can't wait. I want to get in there myself, Mossy. How are you feeling?
Mate, I'm feeling pretty good. I tell you what, last year, shirts on the start line, absolutely freezing. But today we've got the long sleeves, which makes things nice and well.
Yeah, well, look, that's great. Been great to catch up with, as you mentioned, former surf Ironman champion Guy Andrews down here. Love your work. Great stuff all week. What are you going to do next week, mate? Take it easy?
No, back to work and more training for Gold Coast Marathon 2016. How about that?
Well, let's throw it back up to the guys there. Eckers, Troopy and Benita Willis up in the confines, the wonderful warm studio.
Oh, gee, they're jealous, aren't these guys, of us being in the warm studio? I don't think it's that cold out there. Mossy and Robbo with Guy Andrews. That's incredible. 7 marathons in 7 days.